Well, according to a preliminary autopsy report, the Oregon District shooter had drugs and alcohol in his blood at the time of the shooting, and more details have now been released about the 9 victims and their wounds. 2 News reporter Deborah Bogart is live at City Hall with what we've learned.
The Montgomery County Coroner says out of respect for the victims' families, they did not go into details saying which victims sustained what wounds, but they did say that 2 of the 9 victims did have bullet wounds that traced back to law enforcement. And in his blood there show levels of cocaine, alcohol, and Xanax, as well as a cocaine and a pipe device found in his pocket at the time of the shooting. Dayton Police Chief says out of all of the victims hospitalized, all of them have survived their injuries. Of the 17 shooting survivors, there is only one small fragment of projectile that was recovered from one person that cannot be traced, but confirmed injuries from law enforcement or their guns was responsible to those 17. Now, for the 9 victims who passed away, the coroner says they determined the shooter's gun was confirmed to have caused the lethal wounds, but there were 2 who also had bullet wounds that were sustained from law enforcement. Dr. Harshberger, the coroner, says one of the victims' wounds in different circumstances would have been fatal, but after thorough analysis and watching video, he determined the shooter's bullet was the fatal wound, as opposed to the other shooting victim, whose wound from law enforcement was superficial and non-lethal.
It is my opinion the assailant's weapon has been confirmed through comparisons to recovered projectiles or projectile fragments and demonstrated lethal wounds for all victims.
There is a danger in shooting, and there is a danger in not shooting. Both decisions can result in adverse outcomes, and that is true in this incident.
Now, as for the shooter, he had 52 wounds in his body. Those were above and to the sides of his body armor, but those include entry and exit wounds, so it's not conclusive how many times he was shot, but the coroner said it could have been anywhere between 24 and 26. Now, Chief Beal says in this instance, his officers are trained to use lethal force, especially if the shooter shows persistence, which he did in this instance. So again, he says that this lethal force was warranted. Reporting live, Deborah Bogart, 2 News, working for you.